What's going on, world? For today's video, I want to talk about some of the hidden gems that you can find on the Nintendo Switch Online service, which lets you play all kinds of retro games from the NES to the N64 to the Super Nintendo, Sega, and a few more other consoles on there. Now, for transparency purposes, I'll just say that most of these games, I think with the exception of one, I haven't really finished any of these, but I've been playing them and enjoying them a lot, so much so that I felt the need to come in here and, share them all with you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Downtown Nekketsu March Super Awesome Field Day, what a name, is a game on the NES. Now, of course, you're going to realize this is in Japanese, so I'm just going to show it on the screen real quick so you can see exactly where it is on the selection screen. But this game is basically a sports festival game where you compete against other schools in various events, such as cross country, an obstacle course, a ball breaking minigame, and a battle royale. Now, what does make this game a little bit tough is that in order to progress, at least if you're playing single player, you have to score higher than the other teams in order to make it to the next event. So basically, you need to be in first. You need to do the best every single time. So if you're like me, I'll be honest, I'm kind of trash. I've only made it to the second event, which is the obstacle course. But I'm determined to get better because this is my kind of fun, man. This game is hilarious. It's petty. It is toxic. It is all of the above, but I love it. While you're competing against the other opponents, you can throw items at them. You can hit them with weapons. You can pick them up and throw them. And you're just encouraged to do whatever you need to do to make sure you cross the finish line first, or you just do the best at the event. And, the more you hit them and, do what you need to do, you'll rack up these points. And hopefully at the end, you'll end up in first. Each event has its own play style, but the button layout is pretty simple, so I don't think it'll take you that long to really figure out. And like I said, the game's concept is really simple. Whatever event you're in, make sure you're either the first across the finish line or just get first place in general. Be the best. That's what you need to do to make sure that you do good in this game. Just be the best, and you'll be all right. Just to help you guys out just a little bit, because this game is in Japanese. Obviously, I don't speak Japanese, but I kind of fumbled around the menus a little bit and was able to figure some stuff out. So just to help y'all out, the first menu is the number of players. So if you just select one, that'll be fine if it's just you playing. The second menu that says BGM, that lets you select the song that's playing while you're racing or doing, whatever event you're doing. And the third menu, I believe these are modifiers, so you can change how many times you play the event before you move on to the next one. You can change the amount of time that you get to complete the event. And the last menu is a character select menu, and I do believe different characters do have different stats, and because these characters are from different schools, there actually is a decent number of people to pick from. But if anybody's out there, if you can read Japanese, or if you just know anything a little more about this game, definitely feel free to drop it in the comments. But boy, this is fun. This is fun. This is, whether you're playing by yourself, I haven't played this game with other people, but even by yourself, this is just some good, toxic, wholesome, petty fun. And I love it, man. I've been having a blast playing this. If you have not tried Downtown Nekketsu March Super Awesome Field Day, go ahead and give this a look on the NES. You are definitely going to have a good time. Mech Fight is a 2D fighter on the NES. It is actually right next to the Nekketsu game that I mentioned earlier on the NES selection screen, so I'll show that real quick. But like I said, it is a 2D fighting game with these really wacky looking robots who just have these kind of just floating body parts while they're just out here punching and kicking each other and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I know it looks kind of wild, but I promise you, this game is actually pretty good, man. It runs and feels surprisingly smooth, and the combat is pretty good if you just consider how long ago this game came out. Now, while I'm playing this, I am no pro at all. There's a lot of button mashing going on with me, but I'm kind of figuring stuff out. You get a punch, you got a kick, you got a sweep, you can also jump and block, and they also have some special moves that you can pull off. Now, I'll be completely honest, never quite sure how I'm doing these special moves. I just kind of press stuff, and I'm just kind of hoping for the best. But the combat is fun, man. I'm having a good time. Partially because the game just looks so wacky. I'm just entertained watching these little floating body parts, just watching a little circle just go across the screen and hit another little circle. Like it's just, I don't know. It looks kind of weird, but I kind of like it. But I also really like how they handle the single player mode in this game. In Mech Fight, you start off with just one robot, and you have to fight against 7 other robots on the first stage. But then after you beat those 7, you get to play as those 7, so they kind of like join your roster, and then all of you guys together just kind of go on together to complete the rest of the game. So you'll get to pick between 8 robots in total, and you basically do a stage, and each stage has a batch of robots, and then after you beat that batch of robots, you do a boss fight, and then you move on to the next stage, fight another batch, fight another boss, so on and so forth. But I thought that was really cool, man. So you actually get to play with a pretty good assortment of robots. You get to fight a good assortment of robots, and I like that you get to pick the order that you fight them in. And they all have their own styles and abilities and movesets. So I thought this was actually pretty creative as far as the layout. And like I said, I can't give y'all no tech. I don't know how to do none of these moves, but you button mash enough, you'll start figuring some stuff out. Some of these fights are tough, though. I won't lie to you. There's a particular robot on the second stage who has been killing my soul. He has been taking my lunch money. He has ran me off the playground repeatedly. He has chased me home from school. No matter how close I get to winning, he just pulls out some nonsense at the end. He just ends up beating me. But I'm gonna go back because I don't like how he was treating me. But nah, man, enjoy Mech Fight. This game is fun. It's a really wacky looking 2D fighter, but it plays surprisingly smooth, and it's I don't know. I wasn't expecting this, but I got something that I didn't really know that I needed. So I would say enjoy Mech Fight gets my stamp of approval. Go ahead and give this one a look on the NES. The next game I'm going to mention, and this will be the last NES game that appears on this list, we're going to be talking about S.C.A.T, Special Cybernetic Attack Team. There had to have been a better name for this. But, anywho, S.C.A.T is a shooter where you will be flying across various stages, you'll be shooting enemies and getting power-ups. This is all in an effort to stop an alien invasion. The power-ups you get are kind of your basics, man. You get your lasers, your bombs, you got a widespread shot. You get health, and you can get a speed boost, which is actually very helpful in this game, so make sure you pick that up when you can. But as you would expect from a shooter, S.C.A.T is going to test your reflexes and your reaction time. You're going to have enemies shooting at you from all angles and areas, so you got to be able to dodge and react and return fire. And luckily, you have these 2 little floating satellites that kind of help you out, so they kind of give you additional coverage because they rotate to your front and your behind. So you might just be focusing on what's in front of you, and meanwhile the satellites are rotating and hitting the other angles that you might not be paying attention to. And you can also lock them into place if you need them to just concentrate on a certain area. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the game. S.C.A.T has pretty solid level design. There's a mixture of horizontal areas where you're moving left to right, others where you're going more vertical. There's a decent amount of enemy variety. Bosses are challenging, but nothing impossible that you can't really overcome. And but don't make no mistake, the game is tough though. The game is tough. I feel like this is baked into the DNA of retro games to just give you moments of frustration, and you're definitely gonna have that here. But luckily in S.C.A.T, you don't die in one hit. You can take a number of hits before you actually, before they get you up out of here, and you get unlimited chances to continue. So shout out to S.C.A.T for kind of showing a little bit of mercy, because a lot of other games from this era, from this time period, were not so forgiving. And shout out to the game, the sound design. The sound design in this game is actually pretty good. I like the soundtrack. The soundtrack definitely hit. And even like the little bits of voice acting, it's nothing crazy, but considering when this came out, I feel like the quality of the sound was actually pretty good. There's not really much else to say, man. S.C.A.T is a very straightforward shooter. You're just gonna shoot and try not to get shot. And you can play it with a friend also. So if you got somebody else who wants to play with you, both of y'all can soldier up and go save the world. Go stop the aliens. Save us all. But yeah, if you like shooters, S.C.A.T is a game on the NES that you should definitely go give a look. Moving on to the Super Nintendo, man, we got to talk about this game, Psycho Dream. Now, this game is weird. It is really weird, but I kind of like it, man. In Psycho Dream, you get the choice of playing with 2 different characters. You got Rio and Maria. These 2 are a part of a unit called Diamond Dog, and they're what's known as debuggers. And debuggers travel into virtual reality, and they help rescue these people called sinkers who've just spent way too much time in VR. They're starting to like slip into comas and die. So you basically just got to go in this VR world, and you're trying to rescue this girl that you see throughout the game. Now, I'll be honest, Psycho Dream is not the best game in the world. It's a very basic action, like 2D side-scrolling game, but it did try a few things that were interesting gameplay wise, and some of them worked. But honestly, like it's very standard. It's very basic in terms of gameplay. But it is cool that the 2 characters that you pick do play different. So Rio is more of a swordsman, and Maria is a whip person / fairy. More on that in a minute. But you start off with a basic attack. Basic attack is actually kind of trash. But you also get a special move and the ability to run, which you'll want to do because these characters for some reason move really, really slow. The game, sometimes it feels a little clunky. The hitboxes are kind of weird. There were moments during boss fights where I had no idea what I was even supposed to be hitting. But once you get the upgrades, the gameplay starts to open up a bit, gets a little more fun. So I'm not going to go into what every single gem does, but you're going to find these little color-coded gems throughout the game. And if you keep upgrading the yellow ones, your attacks will upgrade and get better, and your appearance will start to change. So for example, if you keep getting the yellow gems with Rio, he will get like a multi-directional swing that shoots projectiles, and he starts wearing this cool armor. Maria will eventually evolve into an overpowered fairy who's just the strongest fairy you've ever seen, and she has these homing attacks that'll basically clear out the entire screen. So if you find yourself struggling in the game, just pick Maria. She's the cheat code. She'll help you finish this game in no time. And like I said earlier, man, like Psycho Dream, it's really just like an eyed game. It's okay, gameplay wise, but everything else surrounding it was what I really enjoyed. Psycho Dream it's really trippy, it's really wacky. Like the enemies, like what am I even fighting right now? Like these boss fights, what am I fighting? What in the sci-fi is happening? What is this moth, this electric moth looking, what is this? Like, but the presentation of Psycho Dream is very unique. It's very weird, but I don't know. I found it kind of just, I don't know. I like the creativity of it, and it has a soundtrack that really makes you feel like you are trapped in a part of somebody's brain that you have no business being in. But it kind of added to the overall experience and just kind of quirkiness about this game. I don't know, something about the quirkiness of Psycho Dream, just it kind of hit for me. And it's also not a very long game, so that kind of helped too. But like I said, man, Psycho Dream is not the greatest game ever. It is definitely flawed. But I feel like this is one of those games that you should try and just play one time just to say that you played it. If for nothing else, it's going to be an absurdly weird gaming experience that you're probably not really going to find anywhere else. So if you just want a really standard, basic 2D side-scroller action game, go give Psycho Dream a look on the Super Nintendo. Let's take a trip on over to Sega to an action platformer called Pulseman. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know what's going on with the story in this game whatsoever, but what I can tell you that Pulseman, this game low-key kind of fire. Of all of the games that I am mentioning in this video, this might be my favorite one, man. There is something about this game that I just really like. It definitely gave me some Sonic vibes, and while it might not hit the highs of the older Sonic games, Pulseman is definitely impressive in its own right. The first thing that popped out to me in this game were the visuals, from the animations, the Pulseman's character design, the color palette of the stages themselves as far as just layout and creativity. This game is it's really clean, man. It is really, really clean. And Pulseman, you'll be traveling across seven different stages, all located in different parts of the world. So you'll be in areas like Japan, Thailand, USA, India, and each stage has its own unique feel and look, and the stage layouts I think are done really well. This is just really high quality stuff, man. As far as the gameplay, Pulseman has a few cool moves, man. He's got a basic melee attack, he's got a low kick, he's got this guile like flash kick, and to kick things up a notch, man, he also has this little like electrical state that he can enter into. You can activate that by double tapping to dash, or if you just run at full speed. And while he's in this electric state, Pulseman's melee attack also shoots out a projectile, but more importantly, he can traverse as this little electrical ball, and you can use this little electrical ball mode to bounce off of walls. It can jump you in the air. It's just really crucial for traversal, which you'll need to do because you'll need to find items and just progress to the stage in general. I believe that electrical ball mode is called Voltiker. I don't know how to say that. I'm just gonna call it little electrical ball. But yeah, like I said, it's crucial for traversal, and I really like how they used it with there are certain areas through the game where you got to travel along these little wires and you got to bounce with the electrical ball to different wires, and it also makes you invincible against spikes. So that was really dope, man. I really like how they implemented that. There are times where being in that little charge state as the electrical ball can get frustrating in terms of like aiming it, if you're trying to like bounce at a certain angle. Sometimes that can be a little difficult, but you'll eventually kind of get a feel for it. Admittedly, I have not finished this game yet. I am on stage 6, but I've really been enjoying my time. The boss fights for me have been a bit of a mixed bag. I won't spoil them all, Some are definitely better than others, but overall, I will say that I enjoy them, and I think that I appreciate that they make you use all of his moves. You won't get away with just like spamming the same stuff, at least not with all of them. So it at least makes the encounters a little more engaging. But yeah, man, now this Pulseman is really good, man. The soundtrack is fire. The overall sound design is really good. Pulseman did his thing, man. Pulseman, he holding it down out here. I was not familiar with this game at all, but I'm really glad I gave it a try. So if you like action platformers, definitely give Pulseman a try, man. I think you'll really enjoy this one. Blast Corps is an action demolition game on the N64, and man, this game just reminds me of a time when games just used to be just fun, just nonsensical fun. I'm actually pretty disappointed in myself that I've never played this when it originally came out, but better late than never, because this game is making me feel like a kid again. In Blast Corps, you work for a demolition company, and the main point of the game is just to destroy and break everything. But there is a method to the madness. The main thing that you'll be doing throughout most of these levels is you have to clear a path for this large carrier truck, and to clear the path you just need to break everything that could possibly get in the carrier's way. Also, don't run into the carrier because it'll explode. Not that I would know that from firsthand, but it happens. You'll be destroying things in a few different ways. You get different methods, you get different vehicles or robots. You got bulldozers, dump trucks, buggies. There's this little tricycle that shoots missiles. You got a robot with a jetpack and he's flying and flipping around, and you got this weird little mech thing that rolls, and it kind of reminds me of Samus for some reason. But you get that thing too, and I love that not only is this game mindless fun, but it does, with the mix-ups of the different vehicles and ways that you can be destructive, it has a little bit of strategy because each vehicle operates differently. So you kind of do have to pay attention to what you're driving, what you have, and that'll help you figure out how you need to approach the situation. Now, don't get it twisted. This game is really fun. It's crazy fun. But some of these stages, the game does get progressively harder. I'm currently on the intermediate stages, and I'd be lying if I said that some of these stages have actually given me some headaches. I had to reconsider if I was as good at breaking stuff as I thought I was. Apparently my demolition game needs some improvement. But nah, man, no pun intended. Having a blast playing this game, bro. Having an absolute blast playing this game. When you want to be destructive and you want to have some mindless fun, go ahead and cut this on. Also has a couple of different modes. There's a couple of stages where you get to like do these little races, and those kind of break up the gameplay a little bit. But yeah, man, Blast Corps, this is just mindless fun, bro. It's pretty straightforward. There's not much to really dissect here. Cut this on, run into stuff, clear a path for the carrier, and handle business, and you're gonna have a great time doing it. So yeah, if you have not played Blast Corps on the N64, definitely give this one a look. And that is going to be all for today's video. These were my hidden gems on the Nintendo Switch Online. Please let me know in the comments below what are some of your favorite games or favorite gems on the Nintendo Switch Online that you would recommend other people check out. But yeah, that's all I got for today's video, man. My name is Serial Sensei. As always, y'all stay safe, y'all stay hydrated, and I will see y'all on the next video.